This is the CitizenLink Report.
If you find our insights helpful, would you support our video efforts? Your gift of $25 or more goes a long ways. Covers the crew, lights, cameras, all that. Just click on Donate. Thanks from all of us. The life issue is quietly making progress in state legislatures and in people's hearts, and technology is playing an important role. This is the CitizenLink Report. I'm Stuart Shepard, along with Carrie Gordon-Earl, who tracks the life issue for Focus on the Family. She's also the Senior Director of Public Policy. Hi, Carrie.
Hi, Stuart.
The last few years have brought about an astonishing tide of pro-life legislation at the state level. Let's talk about that. What are you seeing?
Well, every once in a while, the abortion industry, its research arm, the Guttmacher Institute, actually comes out with research that makes our case. And we've been saying, let's keep an eye on the state legislatures, because that's really where there can be traction. That's where the U.S. Supreme Court has given a lot of leeway, really, in some of these laws. So the Guttmacher Institute has come out with a study that looked at the number of state laws that have passed, pro-life laws. And again, this isn't their worldview, but it's our worldview. And what they found was, in the last 3 years, there have been more state pro-life laws passed than in the entire previous decade. So think about that. You've got 10 years of history at the state legislative level, where you've had a good number of bills that have passed, close to 190. But just in the last 3 years, we've seen 205. So I'm not really good at math, but I can look at those numbers and tell you that there's a lot of traction with what's happening.
What is it that set that up? What's changed over the past few years that's put us into a position where more of these laws can pass?
Well, this is where we talk about elections matter. And when people are educated and they're registered to vote and they go to the polls, it makes a difference. And most of these laws are passed in states that are more conservative, that have pro-life majorities, have pro-life governors. And where we've seen that take place, we see these laws pass. We knew that 2011, which was right after the 2010 election, was really a bumper year for passing laws. Yeah. And I think we're going to see that continue in 2014. Now, there are a couple of types of laws that are really popular with state legislatures right now. One is abortion center regulations. You've got the abortion industry that's pretty much unregulated except at the state level. We saw that in the Pennsylvania case with Dr. Gosnell up there, yeah, and who had had horrific things happening in his abortion center, and they weren't really regulated. So we see state legislatures saying, wait a minute, if we're going to have freestanding medical clinics to do other types of medicine, which abortion really isn't, shouldn't abortion industry have to live up to the same standards? And they're saying yes. So they're passing those laws. Another one is fetal pain. The idea that we know that babies during that course of development toward birth do feel pain. And there have been a number of states that have passed laws banning abortions after 22 weeks because of fetal pain. Another thing is the use of chemicals for abortion. The drug RU486 is legal in the US. And what we've seen, especially with Planned Parenthood in Middle America, is when they don't have facilities to take women to, for women to go to, they will start to do other types of dispensing of drugs. Sometimes the doctor's not even there. Sometimes the doctor doesn't even see the woman. And so state legislatures and governors are saying, wait a minute, that's crazy. We've got to be able to make sure, if abortion is going to be legal, and we work for the day it's not, that we do everything we can to make sure it's as safe as possible for that mother.
And the reason this is taking place at the state level right now, the U.S. Senate is not in a state where we're going to pass any pro-life legislation. Supreme Court is dicey as well with the 5-4 split. Could go one way, could go the other. And that's pushed all of this activity down to the state level. We also know that, given the court and the Senate, that we're not in an era of time where we're going to be able to overturn Roe v. Wade anytime soon. Will we like that? Absolutely. Is it going to happen? No. So this working at the state level in the meantime is saving lives.
Absolutely it is. And it's kind of an incremental approach. The idea being, well, what has the Supreme Court said the states can do? And let's maximize that. Let's push that out as hard as we can and really make an impact. And the research that has been done on these and other types of state laws find that they do make a difference. Anytime you can get to that mother and have her think twice about this abortion decision, anytime that you can have processes in this journey for her that make her think through, you're going to have women changing their minds. And that's what we want, is make sure that women are thinking through what their options are.
Let's talk about how technology is opening a window into what a preborn baby really is and what it is that we're talking about. How's technology changing what we see and what we think about?
Well, in the 41 years since the Supreme Court issued Roe v. Wade and Doe v. Bolton, we've seen a lot of changes. We've seen a culture that has largely accepted abortion. I mean, when you look at the polling, people don't like it. They want less of it, but it's here. They're not sure what to do with it. But what's really changing hearts and minds is this ultrasound technology. I mean, if you are a young woman or an older woman even who's expecting a baby, you're pregnant, you can go online and you can track your baby's fetal development through the knowledge we have of fetal development and through ultrasound and other means. So it is changing hearts. We know that the younger generation tends to be more pro-life, and part of that is they grew up with the ultrasounds. Their siblings, their cousins having those images on the refrigerator. It has really changed a lot of that context. We also see this with destructive embryo research. Another topic here where now alternatives have been developed to destroying human embryos, and the scientists are finding those alternatives not only are more solid ethically and morally, but they work well. So it's interesting to see how technology is really continuing to challenge the mindset of Americans and move them toward a pro-life position.
It makes it very difficult for folks on the other side of this issue to try to say that we're not talking about what we're talking about, because we can now see exactly what it is we're talking about.
We are, and that's where the facts before you, the picture before you, the image before you, whether it be fetal development or just seeing that little one through the ultrasound image, it's really amazing to see how that's changed.
Now we know from real life that the opportunity to see an ultrasound image of that preborn baby has a serious impact on the choices that are made after that point in time, on the direction that people go. Focus on the Family has been very active, seeing the pro-life potential of that in placing ultrasound machines out in the field, but also training people how to use them. Let's talk about option ultrasound. How's it going? Well,
it's amazing. This is the 10th year. It has enabled Focus on the Family to place, as you said, not only training, but machines in pregnancy centers across the country in all 50 states. And it helps them convert to a medical clinic, which is a higher level of expertise and care for the women that are coming in.
Describe what that means. What does it mean to make it a medical clinic as opposed to a pregnancy resource center? What's the difference?
Well, to have an ultrasound machine there, you have to have people who know that and who know that technology. Yeah. You need to have oversight by physicians. It's a higher level of medical standard. In the same way, at the beginning of the segment, we talked about state legislatures wanting to pass laws to require the abortion industry to meet that higher standard of ambulatory surgical center. The pro-life community should do that as well. We should have our very best available to women as we are ministering and counseling them about the abortion issue. In the last 10 years, the estimate, Stuart, is that 230,000 babies have been saved, and mothers have been saved from abortion due to the option ultrasound program.
Which is an incredible story.
It is, and again, we're looking at 41 years of legal abortion, and I know it's easy to get discouraged. It's easy to think in our lifetime we may not see an end to this. I don't know if we will or not. But I know that in the resources and in the opportunities that God gives us today, in this moment in history, we're going to make the most of that. And that's going to be passing state laws. It's going to be getting these ultrasound machines into the pro-life centers and making sure the abortion industry is held to the highest possible standard as long as abortion is legal.
So when you put all this together, between the changes in state law, the movement toward a pro-life point of view, between the changes in people's hearts because of technology and because of the implementation of that technology, we know of at least 250,000 human beings who are going to be alive today who would not have otherwise been here.
And when you think about that, those are real lives. And those are real women who have been spared the aftermath of abortion, which is a whole nother program to talk about. Yeah. But absolutely, to have that tangible, to be able to say that we know that lives have been saved, and many, many more through those state pro-life laws.
All right. Carrie, thank you for keeping track of this and for the update. Very helpful.
Thank you, Stuart.
Yeah. And thank you for watching. We always appreciate hearing from you. Tell us your story. You can write to us at mail@citizenlink.com. Give us what's happened in your life, and also share with us your questions, your comments, your criticisms. We're always open to that. We do read each note that comes into us here. We encourage you to pray for the folks who work in pregnancy resource centers and medical clinics around the country. Pray for them as day to day they're right there on the very front line, helping people make difficult decisions about whether to continue with the pregnancy and give birth to a human baby, a real life, a real person out there. And remember, stand tall and be heard.